What's going on, guys? My name is Renegade. Today we're here for another episode of Class Comparisons. Today we're going to be taking a look at Eternal Inversionist versus BINDER for farming. Now, before we get into the video, if you guys could leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, that'd be awesome. And also remember to follow me on Twitter and join my Discord server. The link for that is in the description. The link for both of those are in the description down below. Other than that, let's get into this week's episode of Class Comparisons. Okay, so we'll talk about BINDER first. Now, BINDER is a multi-target class. It targets 3 enemies with all of its AoE abilities. Now, the auto attack isn't AoE, but every other ability that actually deals damage is. So its first ability consumes 10 mana, has a 4-second cooldown, and it crits every single time, and it's on 3 enemies. And it only does about 500 damage crit, but it puts a DOT on them of about 120 usually, and that ticks for about 4 or 5 ticks, so you do get a pretty decent amount of damage done even with that ability there. I think it's only, I'll count them now for you. 1, 2, yeah, it's only 2 ticks actually, it's not 3, so it's 2 ticks, but yeah, you can pretty much continuously loop that ability and not have any problems. The second ability is called Choking Shadow Smoke, and what it does is it is just an just a DOT ability. It doesn't do any damage up front. It consumes 25 mana and has an 8-second cooldown, and it actually has a chance to stun the enemies as well. So that actually happens quite a bit. And the DOT lasts 8 seconds, and what it does is it pretty much deals damage over time for the damage is about 300, and again that's 8 seconds. Your next ability is a heal. It consumes 30 mana, has a 16-second cooldown. Now it's a bit glitchy. I believe the cooldown is actually 12 seconds, and it lasts, the heal is only supposed to last 6 seconds, but it lasts the entire duration of the cooldown. So you can actually loop this heal infinitely if you really need to, but you don't usually need to. But that really adds to the survivability of this class. The class is ridiculously good for survivability. Now, your last ability is more of like a nuke, kind of. It has a 12-second cooldown, so it takes a while, but it has 25 mana for its mana consumption, and again, it's 3 targets. Now, it deals about 1.3 to 1.5k damage, depending on your weapon range, and it's non-crit. It never can miss, but it never can crit. That also applies to the first ability, by the way, the one I mentioned before. That one can't miss either. Nothing in this class can miss except auto attack. And yeah, this last ability as well, this does DOT damage too. It's about 120, just the same as the one from the first ability. So yeah, a lot of damage with that ability, and combined with the other 2 abilities that don't deal that much damage, it actually amounts to a pretty good DPS overall. Like, the damage per second is pretty decent for this class, and it's reliable. Nothing misses, nothing crits when it's not supposed to, and it's just a really good package. There's no mana issues, there's no health issues, there's no damage issues. It's considered one of the best farming classes in the game for a reason. You can check out my class guide if you want to have any more in-depth information on the class in the description down below. Again, leave your thoughts on me redoing that video. Let's move on to Eternal Inversionist. So Eternal Inversionist is actually a really interesting class. Its auto attack, for starter, is different from normal. It has a 1.5-second cooldown, and it has a 15% chance to apply rejuvenation, which is basically just about a 60 HOT over 6 seconds. So it's just a little heal there. It's actually the only heal in the class, but everything sort of adds to the survivability of this class. So the next ability, it adds to your survivability by reducing the opponent's outgoing damage for 15 seconds, and this has an 8-second cooldown with a 20 mana consumption. Now this deals a bit of damage too. It's about 200 damage to 6 enemies, I believe, and that crits to about 600, 700 sort of thing. Although, I don't know if this can crit. I'm pretty sure it can't, actually. I'm pretty confident it can't. I actually thought it could crit, but it must have been my auto attack doing damage, because I don't think it can crit. So it's just stuck to around 300 damage. Now, Ancient Wrap is your next ability, and this consumes 12 mana with a 5-second cooldown. And this pretty much increases your opponent's incoming damage, that's boosting your own damage, by 6%, and reduces your opponent's chance to hit by 6%. This ability also applies as a moderate DOT. And now, those little effects are called auras, and they stack 5 times. So if you just keep applying this ability, again, it's got a 12 mana consumption with a 5-second cooldown, you're actually, and the auras, by the way, they last 8 seconds. So if you just keep stacking that ability, you're actually, you get some pretty nice effects in there. They stack 5 times, so you can actually get your incoming damage, your outgoing damage, so your damage, increased by 30%, and your opponent's chance to hit can be reduced by 30%, so you can actually get some pretty nice effects going in there. Now, your next ability is called Stasis, and it consumes 27 mana, has a 12-second cooldown. And this pretty much applies Warped, reducing up to 6 opponents' haste by 30% for 15 seconds. So that's quite a few little effects that are really doing quite a lot to increase your survivability, even though your survivability is completely reliant on your auto attack having that little rejuvenation effect. That is pretty much the only heal you're getting in this class. It's the only heal you'll have. Now, your last ability is kind of your nuke ability, and it's called Caricature, I believe is how you pronounce it. It has a 32 mana consumption with a 20-second cooldown, and this does massive damage and has a 25% chance to apply Shock of Consciousness, which stuns enemies for 4 seconds. Now, this is a 6-target ability, again, I believe. Now, it's about 1.6k crit without the 30% buff, but with the 30% buff, it's about 2k. It's roughly 2k. Now, this is actually a pretty good kit. It doesn't sound very good on paper, but it's a pretty good kit. You'll see in the background some footage, and you're getting some pretty nice damage, and all the abilities do damage. I mean, they all are doing damage except for the auto attack. I mean, I should have said they all do damage to multiple enemies, to 6 enemies, except for the auto attack. Now, it's actually amounts for a really quite a reliable kit. Your survivability isn't great still, but even with all those little effects adding onto your survivability, it's really still not amazing. There's nothing too special there, but it will do for most fights, and the ability cooldowns are fairly short overall. Every time you enter a new fight, you pretty much can have your survivability based abilities ready. So all in all, a pretty decent kit. The areas where it lacks are its survivability, and its mana can get a bit shaky, but I'd say it's actually better than Blazebinder. The mana situation, it does get a bit shaky at times, you can say, but that's only when you're not attacking 6 enemies or like 3 enemies. I'd say if you go below 3 enemies, you're gonna run into some issues, but I'd still say it's better than it's better than Blazebinders. Blazebinders can actually run into quite a few issues if you're not attacking 3 enemies as well. But anyway, now with that said, we'll get into the final conclusion of this guide. This video, by the way, not guide. I don't know why I said guide. Okay, so as for the conclusion of this class comparison, I'm gonna have to give this to Blazebinder. Blazebinder's damage output for starters is slightly higher than Eternal Inversionist. You might be thinking, what? Eternal Inversionist damage is much higher on paper, but if you look at the DOTs and stuff on Blazebinder, you're looking at it and you're like, these DOTs are crazy. That's what a lot of people don't understand about Blazebinder. Most of its damage comes from its DOTs. You deal so much damage with those DOTs, and they are reliable as all hell. That's what Blazebinder is. It's a reliable beast. It can't be beaten. It hasn't been beaten yet in this series, and the reason for that is it's so damn reliable. You can't beat it yet. Hopefully AE will release something that beats it, because Blazebinder is boring, but Eternal Inversionist gets close. Here's why. Its damage output is very good. Eternal Inversionist's damage output is really, really good. It deals a lot of damage. It deals it fairly often, although the cooldowns are quite long. They are longer overall on Eternal Inversionist than they are on Blazebinder, which partly affects the damage I'm talking about, which is why Blazebinder has slightly higher damage. Also, Eternal Inversionist does miss sometimes. I looked at the breakdown on the design notes. It mentions that the last ability can't miss, but I've got a feeling that none of the other abilities can miss either. Like, it gives me some sort of, like, it's really hard to tell when farming, for starters. Like, it's really hard to look at your enemies and like look out the individual dodges and misses, but I believe everything on this class can miss except the last ability. So having the chance to miss and dodge immediately puts Eternal Inversionist one tier down from Blazebinder, because Blazebinder, none of its abilities will miss except the auto attack, and you're just reliable. You're just reliable. Also, Eternal Inversionist heal, while it's a creative system, and I really like how you have such a small heal to keep yourself healthy, and somehow it works. Eventually, over and over again, killing the same monsters, you will die. I found that in 9 times out of 10 when fighting a group of monsters for like half an hour, you will die eventually if you don't stop. If you don't stop fighting and you're fighting like 6 monsters or whatever, you will eventually die. but it takes a while. So you do get a good amount of farming in, but that does slow you down as well. It's not too much of an issue because it's so rare for that to happen. Like, it doesn't happen very often, but Blazebinder, you just don't die at all. Like, your heal is just too strong. Your heal is much stronger on Blazebinder. However, because Eternal Inversionist, even when you're not attacking 6 monsters, or you're not attacking the full amount that Eternal Inversionist can attack, you're attacking 3 monsters, and your mana consumption is quite high. Like, we're looking at 20 mana, 12 mana, 27 mana, and 32 mana on the consumption levels for Eternal Inversionist, which is higher than Blazebinder. You're still regenerating it much better than Blazebinder regenerates it. Blazebinder, if you're not attacking 3 monsters, you'll run out of mana. And so you have to be careful with Blazebinder, whereas Eternal Inversionist, you can kind of just go nuts, because even when you're not attacking more monsters, you're just attacking 3, you're still going to regenerate all that mana back easily. So those crits are just crazy for mana regeneration. So Eternal Inversionist has the edge in at least one category. But for everything else that really affects the efficiency of everything, I'm going to have to give the edge to Blazebinder for this one. However, Blazebinder can't attack more than 3 monsters, so if you want to attack 4 or 5 or 6 monsters, then pull out Eternal Inversionist in every single time that situation happens, because, I mean, attacking more monsters means you're dealing more damage overall, and dealing more damage overall means you're going to be having your quest or your item or your reputation farmed quicker. So, yeah, that's my conclusion. Blazebinder is better, but Eternal Inversionist comes close. It's quite close. Also, Blazebinder is much harder to get. Blazebinder requires you to get Pyromancer and... oh, what's the other one? I don't know. Well, I don't know what the other one is. Is it Bard? No, it's not Bard. I don't even know what the other one is, but it requires you to get 2 classes. And yeah, Pyromancer is like a daily quest class, so yeah. Eternal Inversionist just requires you to farm a single reputation, I believe. Oh, never mind. Yeah, no, it requires you to farm a single reputation. It's in the Throne of Darkness series. It's from Sect, I believe, and it's one of his parts. And yeah, it can be bought by all players. Whereas Blazebinder, can be bought by all players, but it's quite hard to get. So that's another thing to consider. But in terms of just being good at farming, Blazebinder is better. If you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.